Welcome to our meditation session. And to begin with a ritual of posture, maybe with a homecoming of posture, maybe with the attention on posture being an expression of care for your body, care for yourself. And so, assuming a supportive posture for meditation, giving yourself a little bit of time to make the even subtle adjustments in how your hands are, your arms, your legs, your feet. Subtle adjustments to maybe even the back of the neck. There is a kind of alertness or a wakefulness that can happen in the back of the neck as the neck elongates a little bit or comes back a teeny bit, with a little bit more space created between the last vertebrae and the skull. Reorienting oneself from concerns that have nothing to do with here and now to a ritual of settling into here and now, gently closing the eyes. And gently pausing at the end of the exhale, just momentary to feel the body's urge, the physical urge, maybe very gentle, calm urge to breathe in, and give into that and ride the inhale. Let the inhale, the movement and expansions of the chest, the belly, let it touch you from the inside out. To the degree to which air fills your lungs as you breathe in, let that feeling of becoming gently full and expansive appear for you fully as you breathe in. And as you exhale, to relax your body, to soften. Breathing in and becoming aware of the thinking mind. Not what you're thinking about, but the sensations and feelings embedded in that thinking mind. As you exhale, soften, relax the thinking mind. If thinking are like waves on the surface of water, let the winds die down in the mind, a quieting of your thoughts, and the softening on the exhale, a stilling of the waves. As the surface of the water spreads wide and calm, the mind becomes expansive and calm. And then centering yourself on breathing, as if perhaps breathing is a refuge. Breathing is a place that protects you from the winds of the mind, the storms of the mind. Breathing maybe almost like the calm in the middle of all things. And as you accompany your breathing, as you become one with your breathing, is there any well-being, any pleasure, delight, any joy or happiness, however modest it might be, that somehow is associated with this meditation? And let that become the gentle wind or the gentle absorption of water, like water is absorbed in a sponge. Let that well-being slowly spread and get absorbed throughout your body, not so much trying too much. Just gently breathing, breathing with the well-being, with the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out, connecting to breathing, sustaining attention, is a gentle massage, wind, water that spreads into your body, expanding field of well-being to which gives you a kind of attitude of yes, yes to being present here. feeling whatever well-being is present. For a few minutes, put aside any resistance to feeling well-being. Take the risk to feel some degree of well-being. So well-being accompanies you, your practice. And if there's some ways that you feel challenged, emotionally or physically or socially, if that challenge seems to be standing in the way of well-being, let them accompany each other. Like the two flat hands, palms come together in Anjali, in bowing. And if it supports your well-being and joy, have a little half smile on your lips, your mouth. Letting well-being and joy be massaged, be worked into everything, your whole being, gently, slowly. then as we come to the end of this sitting, some care, self-care goes into the end of meditation, just as there's care in going into it. Might first begin by a gentle recognition of what is going well for you through the meditation. And that could be a very modest criteria of what's going well. Maybe you're a little more settled. Maybe there's more self-awareness, some understanding of yourself. Maybe there's more calm. Maybe there is some form of meditative well-being. And whatever benefit that has come, let it register in your body, in your heart, in your mind. Take it in. Some people use the metaphor of drinking. Drink it in, or taste it with your whole being. When there's something good that's happened in the Dharma, it's invaluable to appreciate it without appropriating it, without holding on to it or appropriating it to build up another form of self. Just appreciate. And that appreciation, that benefit of the well-being, can expand and grow if we open ourselves up to, in a way, to share it with all beings, almost like we're going to give it away. Let everyone else share or receive my calm. I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm not going to cling to it. Please, let it spread from me out into the world as a gift. May this calm, well-being, insight, understanding be shared for the welfare and happiness of everyone. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. So, good morning, everyone, or good day. Welcome, and so welcome to this talk. This is the fifth talk on the first jhana, and uh, continuing talk on a wider series on the Samadhi. And Samadhi, as I've often said, is a state of being. It's not a particular mental activity of being concentrated or hyper-focused. And so it's a state of being that we enter into. And as such, it's a radically different way of experiencing ourselves than usual. We're always in some state. And even the expression in English, that person's boy, is that a person in a state, is usually meant that they're kind of, something's really unusual about them or odd about them. And but we're always in some kind of state. And unfortunately, we take some of the states we're in as being normal and ordinary, that it doesn't, it's just how it is. But often we're fragmented, we're stressed, we're de-stressed, we're preoccupied, we're caught in things, and that feels normal. And there's certain attitudes or even emotions which persist that can feel like this is just life as it should be, because that's what we're used to. But when we let go, when we let things fall away, all the extra, all the unnecessary activity of mind, even unnecessary activity of heart, even unnecessary activities of the body, and let all that fall away in at least metaphorically, upright position, stance, way of being. What we're left with can be a state of well-being, a state of confidence, a state of it's enough just to be alive. It can be, there's no tendency to want to judge it or interpret it as being something is wrong or inadequate, or it just things become better and better. It just feels good to be alive, good to be here, and it's a state of well-being. So that's one of my definitions of samadhi, is a state, profound state of well-being in which we feel immersed. And so the first jhana represents a very particular kind of samadhi. There's many forms of samadhi, of immersions, but the particular one that is very, very significant and powerful and can be a game changer for some people. In the ancient Buddhist tradition, the Buddha said that once a person is in the first jhana, in that sense of well-being and peace and letting go of so many attachments, that it's kind of the first taste of what it's like to be awakened, to be free. And some people might even confuse it with full liberation, Buddhist liberation, because it's so special and so nice. But it gives us a first taste. It can be quite inspiring. Oh, this is possible. It's possible to have this. Who would have known that such a thorough feeling of well-being, that feels like a homecoming, were possible? There are plenty of people who will have said, that this is not possible to have this level of samadhi and well-being. But there is. It is definitely possible. So in this first jhana, the state is one that's often characterized by the 5 jhanic factors that I talked about yesterday. And so there are the initial application of mind, the sustained application of mind, of attention. There is the joy. My translation of the word Pali word piti, P-I-T-I. And there is happiness, my translation of the Pali word sukha, S-U-K-H-A. And then there is said to be some overall state, that state of absorption, of immersion, that's characterized as, I'm calling it becoming one, sometimes called one-pointedness, sometimes called unification. And so those all kind of come together. And in the first jhana, there's the various strengths by which it can occur. It can be very mild, and so mild that the difference between the approach state and the jhana is not so clear. We slide back and forth between them even. But other times it's quite strong, and it's very clear that this is, now we're in a new territory. And the degree of strength that it has a lot to do with the degree of joy, the strength of the piti. And there can be a range of strengths to it. There's in the classic teachings, there's 5 degrees or ways that piti, this joy, can be experienced. I find it kind of inspiring to hear this list of all the possible ways. You don't have to have them all, but sometimes it's nice to know that these are in the range. The stronger forms of it, people can get sometimes afraid of it or scared, like, wow, this is intense. So the first one is minor. So it's just a subtle, maybe subtle or minor. It's not like something that's so dramatically different than what a joy or that one has in daily life. Another one is momentary. That it just seems like it sparkles. It comes and goes. Maybe with every breath, it comes and disappears. It's just there for a moment. It kind of sparkles or sparks someplace. Then there is something called showering, and this is where there's it feels like there's a shower of water pouring through us in some way, a flow pouring through us, moving through us. It's stream that's moving through us. Maybe like sand going through a hourglass. It just we're at the thin edge of the hourglass and just moves, flows, something, a stream's going. And that stream can be quite intense sometimes, and it might go in different directions. It might go up the spine, up the head. It might go down into the feet. The different things. And sometimes when it gets too intense, the sense of the stream, of it, that sometimes people find it helpful to relax the body even more, so the stream becomes softer and wider. And sometimes people even kind of redirect it so it's more grounding, like down the feet. And then there is something called uplifting joy. And this is quite inspiring. And this is kind of almost like some people feel they get very light sometimes. They feel they're being lifted up. And sometimes actually the posture will change, because this lifting up sometimes straightens out the spine. And it's like everything's alert and present. But, it can feel like we're lifted off the cushion even, because everything's so light and inspiring, and it's kind of, a wonderful experience. And then there's pervading. The showering sometimes can be quite intense. I've had the experience of it feeling like huge cascading waves. It just kind of like you could feel the wave coming and then crashing down. And sometimes I've had it after meditation, and when it happens, I have to stop what I'm doing just pause and wait for this wave to crest and break and pass. So there's all kinds of very unusual things that can happen with the intensity of it, mostly when people are in retreat. And but the one that I like is this last one called Pervading. And this is the instruction the Buddha gives, is to let this well-being, this joy, spread. And that's the only instruction he gives, as I said yesterday, is to let it spread, let it be suffusive, almost like with every breath is a massage that spreads it for further and further. Every breath is like the wind, the air of a bellows, letting it fire warmth get warmer and warmer. And let it spread so there's no bottlenecks for it. There's no place that gets contracted. There's no tension in the body in which the flow is blocked, which can cause a little bit of challenges for people. Just relax. And so it's a continual relaxation, continual opening to the well-being. Feel it fully. And that's a kind of continued letting go, a continued falling away. And that prepares a person for the second jhana, which we'll talk about in next when I pick up again. And so built into this, so what tends to happen when the first jhana gets strong is that the joy factor can predominate, but the happiness factor is still there as well. And so these two together, they're kind of like a combination of joy and happiness that arise together, but it is possible to also distinguish them. And the distinction is that the happiness is more, I like the word sublime. It's more calm, it's more settled, it's more content. Whereas the piti has kind of, the mind is a little bit brightened and excited by it. With the happiness, the mind actually quiets down even more. There's a pervasive feeling of well-being more than a pervasive feeling of inspiration or a little bit of excited joy. So these are the 5 factors, and they can be very minor, and you don't have to be in jhana to have these present. And there's an art to recognizing, even if they're here very subtle in an ordinary mind where you may be somewhat distracted, preoccupied, there's a way of discovering that these are already here in some way. And you're allowed to feel it, to support you, to get absorbed, to get into the meditation, to for temporarily let your everyday concerns, preoccupations fall away. And it's that sometimes called the happiness that leads to more happiness, the joy that leads to more joy, is to feel even the subtle feelings of calm or well-being that begins to come as you meditate. There's an art not to cling to it, not to try to make something happen, but to register and let it kind of be massaged or open to it, and support you to let go of your everyday orientations, preoccupations, just to be here. So next week I'll be back at the retreat center and IRC for some more private event we're doing down there. And then I'll be back in the following week, and Matthew Brensilver will be coming next week. And I think that'll be quite refreshing to have him as an interlude. And then I'll be back, and then following week we'll do the second jhana. And the idea is to spend a week on the next 3, so that you can have some sense of what these are about. And I thank you for attending and listening and practicing together, and I very much look forward to being back in about 10 days, 9-10 days. So thank you, and